At this point in my life, I've interacted with a good amount of thinkers, with a tremendous amount of material. And I repeatedly see the same error occur over and over again. The thinkers who are supposed to be champions of reason, who should be experts in rationality, that is their domain, that is their field, they don't know how to reason at all. What they do know how to do is create a form, but they don't know how to reason. There is a big difference between these two things. When we look for a philosophical form, we're simply looking for a shape. We're looking for a particular content on the page, name dropping, details of places, references to books, footnotes. But that is not how arguments work. Arguments are based on premises. They are based on propositions. And so when I see this inability to think, the point I want to get across to you, the thinker, is the power of logic as it goes forth in criticism. You should not be intimidated by narratives. You should not be intimidated by thinkers who exercise a high and exhaustive scholastic form. I'm telling you this right now. It doesn't matter unless within that form are contained powerful arguments. The only thing that matters within that form are the power of the arguments that are put forth. If that form does not contain powerful arguments, then it's rhetoric. It's just words without substance. Logic is a power. And if you learn how to wield it, you can make yourself immune to the sophistry of these forms. You can learn how to razor slice through these forms to find where the error lies, to refute them, to identify where the value lies. And you can construct value yourself in argumentation. I have seen these scholastic thinkers. I have seen these ignorant thinkers, these thinkers who do not know how to use reason. I have seen them repeatedly try to bully people with their form, with their status, with everything that they can intimidate with everything that they can persuade with except for reason. And it's one of the reasons that these intellectuals become so defensive and insecure when they are confronted with reason. When someone actually challenges their premises, they're not used to this because they're used to creating form. They are not used to having their premises challenged because they don't even know how to think in terms of premises, because they do not understand logic and do not know how to think in terms of logic. They are incompetent in rationality. And so those who have logic can wield it against these sophistical forms. They can wield it and should wield it against everything that claims authority for itself. That authority must meet a burden of proof, and it does not matter who is giving it to us, who is asserting it, declaring it, or proclaiming it. On the basis of logic, on the basis of reason, they must justify their claims. They are not allowed to merely assert or attribute authority to their claims because they have strong conviction or because they want it to be true. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence to justify their authority, to justify their substance. And this is an important lesson for young thinkers to learn early on, because I am telling you, it's why I am communicating now. Thinkers who are incompetent in rationality, in logic, in thinking, try to intimidate other thinkers, especially younger thinkers. They try to bully them. They try to persuade them in any way they can, intimidate them. But if you have rationality on your side, if you have reason, if you know how to think rationally, if you know how to criticize premises, then you can challenge the claims that these authoritarian thinkers make. You can legitimately demand that they meet their burden of proof, that they justify their authority. And this defends you. This makes you a good thinker. It puts you down a path of thinking for yourself, but not just thinking for yourself, because even the most superstitious human being can do that. It puts you down the path of thinking rationally, according to standards which are authoritative and true and irrefutable. Because all logic is based on the laws of logic, and nobody can escape them. In the process of trying to negate them, the irrationalist has to evoke them. So you protect yourself. You protect yourself from false authoritarianism by learning how to wield the laws of logic, by learning how to push back. Don't pay attention to the emotion, to the physical intimidation. Pay attention to the sentence. Pay attention to the premise. Why is this true? What is this person trying to say? And why is it true? What is this person trying to prove? And how are they trying to prove it? It's that simple. These two things. Here's the sentence. Here's the proposition. Here's the statement. What makes this statement true? It's that simple. Rationality, logic, and reasoning is that simple. It's really just a matter of asking, what makes this statement, sentence, premise, proposition true? That's it. But the point I'm trying to get across is that thinkers try to intimidate other thinkers, especially younger thinkers. And if you do not know how to wield reason, if you do not know how to resist this intimidation, because one of the things that thinkers do is they get resentful. That's one of the main things that they do, is they get resentful of the person who is challenging them. They start to get emotional about it. That's how they try to dislodge the criticism. That's not how a thinker should be. A thinker should be open to having their premises or their claims challenged. They should not get defensive about it. They should be open to this. If they're getting defensive, something is wrong. They are trying to smuggle something through, or they are insecure. If someone refutes us, they save us from an error. They do us a favor. So at the heart of being a good thinker is the epistemic virtue of loving the truth and wanting to know what the truth is. That's what lies at the heart. And many thinkers who intimidate, many dogmatists, they don't want to know that. They don't care. They're trying to promote a doctrine. They are not trying to discover what is true. And that's why they become emotional, they become defensive, and that's why they try to manipulate and persuade instead of reason with people. And so the most important tool that a thinker has is knowing how to reason and having the objective capacity, the rational capacity, the courage to be able to stand up to a premise that seems false or that you know is false because you have a refutation of it or evidence that refutes it, and call that claim out and say, no, I think this claim is false and this is why. That is not a true premise because it assumes this, it assumes that, it contradicts this, it contradicts that. Whatever the argument is. But this is required if one wants to be a good thinker, if one wants to think for themselves, and one doesn't merely want to fall into the crowd or fall into a category of being intimidated into a position where one stops thinking.